Tonight on It's a Miracle. Two skydivers collide during a free fall at over 50 miles per hour.
I thought the airplane actually hit me. It was that kind of a blow.
One of the divers has been knocked unconscious and is plummeting towards Earth. Now her only chance for survival is a mid-air rescue and a miracle. On this edition of It's a Miracle.
Oh, it's a miracle, happening to everyday people, changing their lives forever. It's a miracle.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Miracle. I'm Richard Thomas.
And I'm Nia Peoples, and we're here to share some astonishing stories with you.
Stories of ordinary people caught in extraordinary events that they believe were miracles.
First, have you ever wondered how you would react in a life and death situation? What if saving someone else's life meant risking your own?
These are questions that a skydiving instructor is about to answer, and his story is part of an incredible miracle. Skydiving. It is perhaps the most exhilarating and the most dangerous of sports. No one knows this better than veteran skydiver Mike Skeffington.
The adrenaline push you get from skydiving is pretty much to the maximum. And hopping out of an airplane in flight is really exciting, and it goes against what we're taught. I mean, we're taught to hold on to airplanes, you know. But in skydiving, we've come to a decision that it's okay to let go and trust some equipment.
And that equipment, made from fabric and cord, is all that stands in the way of skydivers plummeting to their death. But they gladly take the risk.
Skydiving is a real social endeavor. It's a beautiful thing. When you can do that with a group of 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, it's far more exhilarating.
Why would anyone want to risk their life to link arms with other jumpers?
The rush that we get from the ground coming at us can be so intense, it really, really promotes a tingling adrenaline rush that can be compared to nothing.
It was the 18th of April, 1987. A hangar full of skydivers were preparing for an afternoon jump at Skydive, Arizona, 50 miles southeast of Phoenix. Guy Fitzwater, a novice skydiver, struck up a conversation with a young woman next to him.
How long have you been up here?
I came up yesterday.
Her name was Debbie Williams.
Yep.
Debbie was a very nice young lady, you know, having a lot of fun. It's what we were there for, to have a good time.
Guy was also there to practice formation diving with some of his friends.
There was 5 of us, and Debbie asked if she could join us.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can jump with you guys.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah?
Sure.
Safety and training advisor Gregory Robertson noticed the young woman struggling to untangle her chute and approached to see if he could help.
Hi there. You got a problem?
Kinda. But I think I figured it out.
I started talking to this young lady and helping her straighten out her chute, asked her how many jumps she had,
No,
Closer.
kind of.
and found out she had about 50 jumps, had been in the sport for 4 or 5 months.
Since she was relatively new to the sport, Gregory decided to keep an eye on Debbie that afternoon.
Part of my job was to make sure that people were doing things in a safe manner and staying within their skill levels and not stretching the envelope in such a way that they put themselves or other people into danger.
During an 80-second free fall, danger was always present. Before boarding the plane, the group rehearsed their parts on the ground.
They were practicing to go into the air and build a 6-way round formation, everybody just holding each other's hands. Then break that formation apart, each person do an individual 360-degree turn, and then rejoin hands.
When are we getting an extra 1,000 feet?
Before the plane took off, Gregory convinced the pilot to climb an extra 1,000 feet, a bonus for the divers.
Free fall time is the fun time. You're in free fall, you're flying your body, so an extra 1,000 feet, an extra 5 seconds, that's considered a very nice thing for the pilot to do.
Gregory positioned Debbie's group near the cockpit. When the plane reached an altitude of 13,500 feet, they would be the last to jump, and Gregory would follow them. The first step in creating a six-way is to form a base. 4 members of the group, including Guy Fitzwater, joined arms and jumped together. It would be up to Debbie and a 6th diver to catch up and join the base team. They had just 60 seconds before they would have to deploy their chutes. Guy was almost immediately torn away from the other 3 divers. Already, the base had been compromised. Gregory watched as Debbie headed down to join the 3 men left forming the base.
Her body position was very good, and my initial reaction was, hey, maybe I was wrong. Somebody's been teaching this young woman.
But as Debbie circled the base, Gregory could see that she was having trouble moving in and linking up. And then, suddenly, the 6th diver attempted to dock with the formation, but he was traveling so fast that he forced the circle into a dangerous vertical wheel, a deadly situation where the base divers can accelerate to speeds of 165 miles per hour. Guy and Debbie were both stranded directly above the circle as it continued to fall out of control.
Now we've got a situation where you've got 2 groups of relatively inexperienced jumpers in different vertical planes. That creates a problem that you could have the people who are lower opening their parachutes and not knowing where these other 2 people are that are 500 feet above them.
Gregory decided to lead Debbie and Guy away from the group before anything dangerous happened. But just as he started his move, both Debbie and Guy began to descend towards the circle on their own.
They were both looking at the other jumpers down below them and concentrating on those other jumpers and lost track of each other.
To increase her speed, Debbie went into a corkscrew, a fast dive that turned her directly toward Guy at a speed much faster than his own.
It became very apparent that there was going to be a collision, and it was just like watching a car crash unfold. You know, all of a sudden you just see it happen, you're just going, whoa, and there's nothing you can do about it.
As Gregory looked on in horror, Debbie ran headfirst into Guy's back with a 50-mile-an-hour impact that knocked her unconscious. Now she was plummeting toward Earth, limp and lifeless, and if the cord on her chute wasn't pulled within 25 seconds, she would die. The incredible conclusion, when it's a miracle, continues. On April 17, 1987, Debbie Williams joined a group of 5 other skydivers to attempt a formation fall called a 6-way. Because she was relatively new to the sport, safety and training advisor Gregory Robertson decided to keep an eye on Debbie that day.
I think I figured it out.
He positioned her group in the plane so that they would be the last to jump, and he would follow after them. Almost immediately, the divers found themselves in serious trouble. Gregory knew that he had to move Debbie out of harm's way, but before he could reach her, she began a rapid descent on a direct collision course with another diver, Guy Fitzwater, crashing into Guy's back at nearly 50 miles per hour.
I mean, it was, I thought the airplane actually hit me. It was that kind of a blow. I mean, it was really quite an impact. And I thought I was going to, pass out from it.
Gregory watched as Guy stabilized himself. He was going to be okay, but Debbie hadn't been as lucky.
Debbie looked limp. She was a rag doll. She looked like she was seriously hurt and needed help.
Debbie had been knocked unconscious, and now, if her chute wasn't deployed within 25 seconds, she would die. Gregory Robertson was the only person in a position to help.
My immediate response was to go into a head-down dive and try to get to her.
Mid-air rescues rarely, if ever, succeed. An unconscious and tumbling skydiver is dangerous and difficult to catch up with.
A limp body is very unstable in the air, so they're not falling straight down. They're being pushed around the air depending upon what arm happens to flop out at which moment. So it's a very unstable target.
Gregory knew that Debbie was only 15 seconds away from certain death.
If I was going to do something, I needed to do it right then. So I drove in, got a hold of her, and pulled her ripcord so that her parachute would deploy, and then deployed my own parachute. After I opened and I looked at how high above the ground we were, I actually had about 10 seconds until we would have impacted.
But Debbie wasn't safe yet. A bad landing could break her neck. Having benefited from one miraculous event, Debbie was about to experience another.
A miracle was she was slumped in her harness in such a way that it put her into a very slow right-hand turn that had brought her right back around to the main drop zone where she could get medical attention. After I gathered up my parachute and I ran over to where Debbie had landed, other people were helping her.
The impact was severe, but not fatal, and in spite of her injuries, Debbie regained consciousness.
The very first thing that I was aware of, I was on the ground, I was laying down, and people, lots of people looking over me, and I remember saying, please, don't tell my mother, because she didn't like skydiving.
Medics quickly stabilized and prepared Debbie for transport. Her multiple injuries included a hairline skull fracture, a broken collarbone, 8 broken ribs, and a lacerated liver. But these were nothing compared to what might have been.
She wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for Greg. Greg definitely saved her life.
Beyond Gregory's miraculous race to pull her ripcord, it was a series of events that came together to save Debbie's life. First, Gregory had arranged that day with the pilot to climb an extra 1,000 feet, which gave them an extra 6 seconds of falling time. 6 seconds without which Debbie may well have fallen to her death. Second, Gregory placed Debbie's group so that it jumped last, which meant that the only person on that flight with the experience to save Debbie's life followed her out of the plane.
The part to me that's a miracle is the fact that Gregory and myself were at that same place in time, in the whole world of things, that we would happen to be at that drop zone at the same time in our lives.
I do wonder whether there was something or someone out there making sure that I was at the right place at the right time to help make sure that Debbie didn't die.
Finally, after her parachute deployed, Debbie, badly wounded and unconscious, made a landing a mere 10 feet from the runway, where medical help was available almost immediately. Other experienced skydivers like Mike Skeffington are also amazed by this mid-air rescue.
In the nearly 4,000 jumps I've done in the 5 years I've been skydiving, this is only the second occurrence of that I've ever heard of. Where someone is knocked unconscious and saved by another skydiver before impact is so rare that it definitely is a miracle. It's by far a miracle.
Apparently I have not done what I'm here on this earth to do. You understand what I'm saying? That there is something else that I need to accomplish.
For his extraordinary heroism that day, Gregory was given numerous awards, including AT&T's Gold Veil Medal for noteworthy public service. It was only the 21st such medal awarded in the company's 110-year history. Debbie continues to skydive to this day. Far from taming her adventuresome spirit, the accident only inspires her.
Life could be shorter than you really think it is. You might not live to be 80 or 90, so you should go ahead and live each day, to its fullest and have fun and do what you want to do. My life is a miracle because I've been given these last 11 years that, could have easily been taken away from me.